Today, I just want to really put the focus on Chef Craig Chasky, who, of course, is he's the comedian today, if you haven't noticed, but he is going to be doing a demonstration. So I just wanted to read a little bit about him, and I'll let him kind of connect more of those dots if I miss any. But Chef Craig grew up in Long Island, and don't hold that against him, where he loved to cook with his mother and grandmother. When he was 6 years old, he burned his hand on the electric stove. He jokes that he likes the heat in the kitchen, and his hand is okay, even to this day. When Craig became a teenager, he moved out to North Carolina, where he actually washed pots and pans at Queens Women's College for 750 people. He filled in for an absent chef, and he was actually voted to take over just at 15 years old. So talented from a very young age. And I'm going to let Craig kind of highlight some of the things that throughout his career in New York, he's certainly been, had great experience. And some of those included, it says for 3 years, you worked at the famous Hermitage restaurant in New York and catered for people such as Salvador Dali, Mick Jagger, Brooke Shields. I mean, you catered for Mariah Carey. You've done a lot of amazing things. The New York Giants Super Bowl party. So I'm going to let you kind of highlight a few of those special moments. But Craig's success has taken him to the Food Network, New York Times, New York Magazine, Yankee Magazine, Sarasota and Manatee Heralds, ABC and NBC TV, NPR Radio. And today, Chef Craig Chasky is empowering others to achieve their dreams by encouraging and guiding. So in turn, they can be successful in their field. So without further ado, let's hand this wonderful event over to Chef Craig Chasky.
Hey everybody, I first of all want to give kudos to Senior Blue Book and Brittany and her team at Senior Blue Book that have put this together, and of course Susan with Parkinson Place. I want to clarify one thing. I'm 170 years old. I'm just very well preserved for my age, and it has a lot to do with the food. So you'll get that on the way home, or if you're at home, you might get it on the way out. But interesting enough, Brittany did elaborate on a couple of things that I did. I actually did cook for Jackie O, that's a Jackie Onassis, when she was alive, and really had the fortune of working with Cary Grant at Museum of Modern Art for the reopening back in the day. So I'm well preserved, and I had Lyme disease in the 70s and almost died. I was down to about 95 pounds. So I have my own testimonial about fortifying myself, and we're going to elaborate about that today on how to boost your immunity, how to fortify yourself against the elements. I'm talking about pathogens. I'm talking about the pandemic that we're all dealing with now, and how to build your resilience, your resilience factor, and boosting your adrenals and boosting your cells. A couple of things. I'm going to hit some very important points today that are principles. And one thing in life and in cooking, principles don't change. Principles stay the same. It's like boiling water. You got to hit 212. That's a principle. Technique can change. That's the application and technique. And then we have fundamentals. And notice the word in the beginning is called fun. You got to have fun with what you're doing, because if you've ever cooked when you're angry, your food usually comes out like this. So I always put some music on, get myself in a good mood, and I put a lot of passion and love into what I do, and also a lot of research going into it. And sometimes we can get too analytical about certain things, and we get stuck in our application. So a couple of very important things today when you're dealing with Parkinson. One is, and I'm talking, when I'm talking to you, notice how many fingers are pointing back at me. So this is self-talk for myself too. One thing for everyone's well-being and digestive process, because our digestion starts right here in our mouth. So that's chewing. Grandma used to say, chew it 100 times. Well, I personally don't like baby food, But I do like the fact that when your enzymes in your mouth are doing the work, your gut is doing less work and you have less room for indigestion, GERD, reflux, any type of nausea. And nausea is one thing we're going to elaborate on today, dealing with Parkinson's, because with the meds that you might be taking, that has a lot to do with your digestion and the proteins and the proper carbs and the amino acids and all the essentials that help for cell growth. We have 100 trillion cells in our body. And I'm like Tigger, so if you see me jumping around today, it's only because I'm excited about giving you some valuable information and sharing some optimal healthy choices for you and your loved ones. So we have 100 trillion cells in our body. Every 7 years, our cells replenish. So I always joke, tonight's my night that I get my new cells. And what is 100 trillion? How do you describe 100 trillion? Well, if we line dollar bills up from the Earth to Mars, back to Earth, back to Mars, that's what 100 trillion is. So you can imagine in our bodies, we have 100 trillion cells, okay? The outside of the cell is where the barrier exists, the membrane, where meds usually encapsulate the outside of the cell where the bacteria is, okay? Where viruses exist, and that's why when you go to the doctor and you have the flu, he usually says, I really don't have anything to help you, you gotta go home and rest, okay? Well, rest is important, but diet is crucial when you're getting sick or you are sick. And so today what we're gonna do is talking about fortifying yourself so that when you do get sick, your body's gonna heal faster. Make sense? Just go like this and let me know you got, okay, thank you. That lets me know you guys are breathing out there, and that's important. So on our digestive tract, let alone the cells, and back to the cells, I cook with certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. What does that mean? These are phytonutrients that are distilled, and so in one drop of wild orange is 5.5 oranges. So in a bottle of the orange that I cook with, which is digestible, and we're talking the rind and the pith, not the pulp where the acid exists, and that's the 80-20 rule, 80% alkalinity, 20% acid. Notice higher alkalinity, lower acid. Cancer cannot exist in an alkaline-based body. In dealing with Parkinson's, we want to be more green, leafy, more phytonutrients, and less acidic foods, okay? So there are complex carbs and there are not complex carbs. There are complex sugars and there are not complex sugars. There's everything in moderation today, okay? This isn't a quick fix dietary announcement to be able to fix everything. What this is called gradual change to be able to help you fortify yourself, because the body doesn't like that shock system. It likes everything in moderation because it needs to adapt. So as we're maybe not feeling so well or feeling really good, and it's like you're in the zone and you're like, gosh, I wish I could feel this good every single day. You can. Number one thing, chewing, okay? And something else besides chewing. So chew at least 8 to 10 times well before you swallow. Break everything down, especially if you're eating nuts, which are very high in protein and also high in brain transmission, because when we stimulate the brain signals all the organs to do their necessary work. The body can actually heal itself with the right adjustments. So we want to use high protein brain transmission. When we're doing high protein, we're talking about 70 grams of protein a day, broken down to about 33 grams per meal. That's with the weight of someone about 140, 155, okay? Your proteins, and check with your doctor or in collaboration to how much weight you are. Make sense? Okay, good, thank you. All right, so The other most important things besides the principles and basics of eating, chewing, number one. Number two is called hydration. All right. So we want to drink at least 6 glasses of water a day. Chef Craig mentions pH. Okay. Now, those of you that have a swimming pool, raise your hands. Or those of you that have gone to a swimming pool after a tremendous amount of rain, notice what? It usually turns green. What do we add to that swimming pool to balance the green out? An acid, chlorine. So our bodies are like swimming pools. We have pH, and sometimes when that pH is too high or too low, we have caustic reaction to it. GERD, reflux, indigestion, nausea, vomiting, choking, not being able to swallow, inflammation, headaches, all sorts of different things that the body is rejecting because the body's trying to heal itself. I drink a 9.5 pH water. We actually have a beautiful urn in our dining room, which has crystals in it that you have to wait 7 minutes after putting a purified water in it, because it goes from a 7.5 pH to almost an 11 pH on alkalinity. And with a high pH water, drinking that slowly every single day, 6 glasses of water, especially when you're taking your meds, drink a full 8-ounce glass of water to help those meds start to work. Make sure you're not eating for 45 minutes to an hour after you've taken those. Or if you've eaten, you're going to wait a minimum of an hour and check with your doctor again. I'm not a physician, so you've got to make sure you check with your doctor, but you want to wait almost at least an hour before you start digesting, because the very connection with the right foods is going to fortify and stimulate and motivate those meds to do their necessary work. Okay, so remember, about 33 grams of protein with each meal. That's 69 for the day. I'm rounding it out to 70, and that's your protein intake. So complex carbs, brown rice, okay, very, 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 not corn, not potato, brown rice, or quinoa. Quinoa is an ancient grain, and it is gluten-free, and I use a red quinoa because of the boost in antioxidants. And so antioxidants are very, very good in killing your free radicals, because the amount of accumulation of free radicals you have from a couple things. One is we deal with the realms of the environment where you live, the air that we breathe, the quality of the air that we breathe. We also deal with the physical part. Okay, so our bodies are a temple. We need to be in shape. We need to stretch. We need to walk. We need to get our exercises. We need to get up and bend and get up correctly and all that, and check with your physical therapist. And then the other thing is, the other realm is internal. Okay, and our business that I work with my wife, beautiful wife Elizabeth, is Heal Well and Thrive. And when you've had loss of health, being whether it's Parkinson's or being sick or inflammation, that's where we come in, and with Heal Well and Thrive, we coach you into optimal health, dealing with the 3 realms: environmentally, internally, and physically. Because when you get the balance of all those, just like your pH balance, then you can fortify yourself. So another high antioxidant, which I steamed today, the highest antioxidant of any vegetable is a steamed artichoke. Okay? And so I'm going to show you real quick, and then we'll get back to the foods, the other foods, of how to get an artichoke ready. Now, the beautiful thing about the artichoke is that when you steam it for 45 minutes, the meat that's right here, you don't eat the fibers here, which can add to choking or not being able to swallow correctly. The pulp, just this part right here, is tender, like an apple or like a pear, and it's very high in antioxidants. So the artichoke is very interesting. I've learned a couple of things about artichokes. The bigger the stem, there's a good shot. The wider of the circumference of the stem, the larger the choke. That's where the heart of the artichoke is. Now, work with your aide or work with your loved one to make sure when you clean the artichoke that you get rid of all of those fibers. We don't want any fibers whatsoever in the area, okay? So when you're cutting an artichoke to get it ready, you're taking a pair of scissors and you're cutting that. Let me see, there we go, the magic of TV. Like that, and you're cutting it blunt so that it doesn't harm you. It's also when you go to retrieve it after it's been cooked, you don't prick yourself. And then the bottom of the stem, you cut into it right at the base and flush. And when you do that, you get a flat surface. So when you're plating it, it stands erect. And let's talk a little bit about what you would eat with that. I use a coconut amino because I have a tolerance with soy, or I use a wheat-free, gluten-free tamari, or Bragg's is very good too, all the essential amino acids. I use a high smoke point, high polyphenol, high monounsaturated fat. We want to stay away from the trans fats as much as possible, or the fats that are not heart healthy. We want to build our heart up. So my olive oil, and I'm bragging about it because I searched 45 years for this, polyphenols at harvest, $6.98. What does that mean? Polyphenols are how, if you look outside and you see a green plant, and some are greener than other, the photosynthesis, say that 5 times fast, that come from the sun that directly touch the plant is the development of the amount of phytonutrients of the green. That's why the green leafy foods are very important. This is fresh organic spinach. Another great green that we utilize, besides the artichokes too, are microgreens. Microgreens are 50 to 70 times higher in nutrient value than the mature plant. That's why they're called micro, small greens. Broccoli from Million Acre Farms, which I'm involved with, and we're going to have our microgreens available at the Y at Berlin branch soon, and also at Potters Park in Sarasota. Those of you that live out of state, stay in touch with us. Go to our website, Million Acre Farms, follow us, and we're eventually going to have mail orders because microgreens are superfoods. I cured myself from Lyme disease by going alkaline and getting away from meats. Okay, Elizabeth, my wife, loves meat. Her blood type's different than my blood type. That's a whole nother seminar that in the future with Senior Blue Book, hopefully Tiffany and Brittany will have me back, so that and Samantha will have a whole course on how to deal with those type of blessings. Okay, so greens, real important. When you're utilizing a sauce for your greens to dip in or a salad dressing, high polyphenol, 698 on my olive oil, 0.017% on acid. What does that mean? Less likely for indigestion. I can also cook with this at a smoke point of 475 degrees without burning. If you don't have my olive oil, grapeseed oil, walnut oil, sunflower oil, high in monounsaturated fats. These are the omegas that stimulate brain transmission. So with Parkinson's challenge, It will help the body function better. When you're taking in the proteins that I mentioned, what that's doing is that is adding value in many areas. Proteins help wound healing, cuts, bruises from falling down. It decreases when your protein intake is high, it decreases you from falling because your brain's actively working because those proteins are brain transmission, helps muscle repair, builds blocks for skin and bones. Doesn't do much for my hair, unfortunately. Also helps prevent muscle wasting, and it develops red blood cells. And red blood cells are the promoter for oxygen. Okay, so phytonutrients are the promoter. If you're eating meat, and I kind of shun away from meat because of just the way we digest it, and it's also a little bit harder to chew and swallow. So fish, salmon, very high in omega-3s and 6s, the correct fatty acids, and the A's and the E's in vitamins and nutrients that we need. And the fat is the perfect fat for heart health and brain health. Make sense? Okay, excellent. Tuna, low sodium. Always watch your sodium intake. Your nitrates, your cured bacon, your uncured. If you're going to eat bacon, and you know, I go to no nitrates, no nitrites, uncured, no antibiotics, free range, no GMOs. Stay clean as you can be. It might cost a couple of dollars more or a couple of pennies more, but I always say, what's your deductible? What's worth your health? Our clients today would give all their wealth up to have their health back. And I'm here to share with you how to fortify yourselves and build your immunity. So if you're going to do sodium, pink sea salt. It's the purest on the planet. It's pink because of the iron content in it, and use it in moderation. Just for information, FYI, 1 teaspoon of pure Himalayan sea salt is equal to 3 tablespoons of table salt. Let's talk about table salt for a minute. Excuse me 1 second. I got to hydrate. And I hope you're hydrating at home too. So, table salt our bodies do not process. Table salt, which is what your doctor tells you, cut down on your sodium, because we've been eating the wrong salt most of our lives. So when you go into a restaurant, usually on the table you see a salt grinder. I guarantee you, and I'll challenge chefs out there, they have a 55-gallon drum of white salt. Okay, it's been heated 1200 degrees, has no nutritional value, and what happens is it just gets stuck in our body systems, and that's where you have autoimmune, diabetes, inflammation, and low and high blood pressure. Okay, and high blood pressure is something that we want to address. So antioxidants, fresh berries, raspberries, strawberries, again, chew at least 8 to 10 times. Blueberries, very, very high in antioxidants. Pistachios, high in antioxidants. Asparagus, and my personal favorite, besides artichoke, is the Florida avocado. And this avocado, I love it when the seed inside is free and moves around. That's called freestone, like a freestone peach. And then when you press it gently with your thumb, it should give a little bit, and that's declaring its ripeness. Avocados have the perfect fats in it, and again, in moderation. I have clients that say, Craig Chef, I eat kale every day. No. That causes calcification. Do kale, spinach, broccoli, Swiss chard, microgreens, romaine, high green leafy items, which are very, very important. You know, a friend of ours makes Bliss peanut butter at the farmer's market, and this is an almond butter that has been processed and grinded to where it's consistent and smooth and easy to swallow, because I know when I don't chew my food enough and I swallow, I tend to get reflux and GERD and also nausea. So with the salmon was heated in a pan with the olive oil to about 375 degrees. And when the salmon color changes, comes up about halfway, and you can see it on the side, that's your indication to turn it over. I prefer skinless because I don't want to take a chance of getting a piece of skin caught in my esophagus and have that challenge of choking. So I skin my salmon, or ask my fishmonger to skin my salmon before I get it home. Make sense? Okay, super. So this is a tri-citrus, lemon, lime, and orange. It has some seasoned sea salt on it in moderation, very light on the sodium. And then what I do is I take the almond peanut butter, and we're having this for lunch, and I'll drop it off to you as soon as we get done. And we just do a little smear on there of, there we go, of the almond butter, not a lot. And so now I've added 6 grams of protein from my peanut butter, about 12 grams of protein from, that's 17 grams of protein in that one dish. Remember, we talked about 33. So how do we boost it up to 33? Let's say we had a side of quinoa. Okay, another 6 grams of protein of quinoa. And then we add some vegetables and some berries for dessert. We boosted our protein count to 33. We're gonna hydrate and drink at least 6 glasses of water. All right, let's see what else we're gonna follow today. So no one diet is suitable for Parkinson's, but what you eat may affect how well your meds work, and we talked about that. Chewing, make sure we chew enough. And what this will do, this will dissipate constipation, low blood pressure, GERD, reflux, swallowing, and inflammation, the difficulty of swallowing. And again, the balanced diet of an 80-20 rule, 80% alkalinity, those are your phytonutrients, those are your greens. The plants are influenced by the sunlight and those polyphenols that the plant produces, whether it's in spinach, microgreens, asparagus, avocado, zucchini, squash, and then our fresh berries. This is one of my favorite melons. This is a Canary Melon. Okay, this is naturally occurring sweet. Want to watch our sugars. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. White sugar versus stevia. White sugar is an acid. Stevia is an alkaline. White sugar versus honey. Honey is an alkaline. Saccharin, Splenda, all those things that we've been drinking in our coffee. And coffee, we should start doing in moderation. Green tea is good for brain transmission. One thing that I do for when I get indigestion or GERD, or I don't take my time in eating, ginger, excellent for settling your stomach. Fennel and peppermint. I use ginger oil. I use fennel oil. I love fennel grilled on the Barbie. So this weekend with some beautiful grilled vegetables and some excellent high polyphenol olive oil, a pinch of sea salt, not a whole tablespoon, guys, okay? And then I hit it with some pure, not from concentrate, lemon juice, organic. And what that does is that just brings that citric level up, that helps in digestion, not too much, and it's a perfect balance. We want to clean out the free radicals in our cells. Talked about proteins and what the proteins do and what they build. okay? Avocados, quinoa, brown rice, nuts. I love cashews. I thought I had some out here somewhere. Oh, I thought I ate them all. Cashews, again, chew 8 to 10 times before you swallow. So by eating enough proteins and calories, if you become sick, your body's immune system's response is stronger to heal. And that's really, really important. Also, flora. Your serotonin is not built here. It's built in your gut. Gut health is everything. Getting your core and your center right is important. So yogurt with the right acidophilus, bifidus, all the yogurt cultures, okay? And I get a clean yogurt that is very low in sugar and high in those that bacteria. So my gut health, because when we're on meds, and when I had Lyme disease, I was on every antibiotic imaginable because they treated me like a guinea pig because they didn't know about it enough upstate. And they said, let's start you with this med. Basically what it did, it destroyed my intestinal flora completely. I wasn't absorbing or assimilating and keeping my weight gain up. And with Parkinson's, when you eat those amount of proteins, average of 33 per meal, it will help you maintain your weight and it'll keep you from weight loss. It'll also help build your bone density. It'll keep your mind stimulated and going, so less falls. When you do bruise or you cut yourself, you're more prone to heal faster by having these proteins. You want to hydrate 6 glasses a day. I can't emphasize that enough. I enjoyed being with you today. I know Brittany's going to have some questions. Susan's going to have some questions. I hope you guys have some questions. I appreciate you letting us come into your home today and add some value and some longevity to your lives. We care about you. Blessings for your fortified health and moving forward. Thank you.